Okay, I got to redo this over again, you guys, because apparently Rumble needed an update or something and it tied into here and it was all screwy inside the studio, but I couldn't really see it and tell because I had my news stories up. So I'm just going to go ahead and redo the headline hits. I hope that you can hear me now. Those of you who are in here. Hey, Cindy D, good to see you. Like I said, I'm just going to redo it and get going on this because the technical difficulties that I had were out of my control. I don't know if it was an update. I don't know what it was, but it looks like I'm starting to go live here on Rumble as well. So Rumble is up and ready this time. Sometimes, technology, that's what it does. So I'm going to go ahead and play the intro again here, and I'm just going to get started with headline hits all over again. What I wanted to tell you too is make sure that everybody heard, because this is important. Before I went on the first time, it is breaking that the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu did say and announce that Mohammed Sinwar, who is Hamas's top commander in Gaza and brother of Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar, has been eliminated. This is a big deal. It is a big development as things are ongoing in the conflict with Israel and Hamas. So he did say that the Hamas chief is dead. So details are unfolding with that, and we will definitely keep you posted. In the meantime, I'm going to play the quick little intro and not touch anything else and make sure everything goes smoothly, and go ahead and redo the headline hits for you guys. I'll be right back. Okay, so we're going to start off with President Trump did come out and talk about President Putin from Russia, because Putin did reject Trump's Vatican push as the Kremlin accuses him of being emotional. Trump warns Putin that he's playing with fire. So we know this conflict between Russia and Ukraine has been going on for a few years. They were supposed to have the next round of Russia-Ukraine peace talks at the Vatican. That's an idea that the president has been floating around since the newly appointed Pope Leo XIV suggested earlier in the month. But the special envoy, Keith Kellogg, confirmed the news while speaking on Fox and Friends Tuesday morning, when he said the Russians don't want to go there to the Vatican. Now, they did suggest, and instead, that the talks could be held in Geneva, though it remains unclear when another round of talks will be held, as Russia has yet to agree to the U.S. peace proposal, and the foreign ministry on Tuesday claimed it was still working on its memorandum of terms. So Trump did post on Tuesday afternoon, social media, Truth Social, warning Putin, and said he's playing with fire. What Vladimir Putin doesn't realize, Trump said, if it weren't for me, lots of really bad things would have already happened to Russia. And I mean really bad. He is playing with fire. Similarly, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky accused Moscow of playing games after it carried out the largest drone strike ever in the 3-year-long war in a Sunday attack. Now, Russia launched 335 drones and 9 cruise missiles at civilian targets. The attack prompted Trump to condemn Putin as crazy in a post on social media platform. Trump did say on Sunday he's always had a very good relationship with Vladimir Putin, but something has happened to him. He's gone absolutely crazy. He's needlessly killing lots of people, and I'm not just talking about soldiers. Missiles and drones are being shot into the cities in Ukraine for no reason whatsoever. Trump took it one step further and warned Putin that he should attempt to take all of Ukraine. It will lead to the downfall of Russia. Very strong words, very potent words from the president. Unfortunately, this appears to be escalating instead of de-escalating. Now, when asked about the president's comments, Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said, "We are really grateful to the Americans and the President Trump personally for their assistance in organizing and launching this negotiation process." But Trump did not limit his verbal attack to Putin on his social media post. He claimed Zelensky was doing his country no favors by talking the way he does. "Everything out of his mouth causes problems. I don't like it, and it better stop." Now, Trump did not make clear what Zelensky had said, but he said he didn't like it. So we have to keep an eye on this. Obviously, this is a big deal with this going back and forth, and it seems to be escalating instead of de-escalating. Next up, we have more details on Trump's Golden Dome, which is a missile defense system. It revives Reagan's nuclear shield dream. Now, the DoD will be able to protect the homeland from a nuclear attack, as we reported last week. Trump has named Space Force General Michael Guteland as the Golden Dome's project leader. Tell that the system will be primarily space-based. That's very interesting. Technology in two areas has altered the equation for missile defense, likely making defending against nuclear missiles, even hypersonic ones, less expensive than building offensive nuclear weapons. Now, that was not the case when Reagan announced the SDI in 1983. The great communicator said then that, what if free people could live secure in the knowledge that their security did not rest upon the threat of the instant U.S. retaliation to deter a Soviet attack, that we could actually intercept and destroy strategic ballistic missiles before they reached our own soil or that of our allies. The threat of nuclear war that Reagan was worried about and thought immoral was that of the doctrine of mutually assured destruction, or MAD. MAD held that a nuclear balance of terror could keep the peace, that as long as nuclear rivals knew that, even if they struck first, the other side could still inflict massive damage in return. Now, here we are, you guys, 42 years later. The cost to launch objects into low Earth orbit has gone from about $12,045 per pound down to $760 per pound for SpaceX's Falcon Heavy and $33.41 per pound for Starship. Now, this is a reduction in the cost to orbit of a 360-fold, with Elon Musk shooting for $4.54 per pound. Now, that reduction in cost of putting defensive systems into space of 2,400 times since the mid-1980s. It makes it way more affordable to aloft a missile defense system into orbit. So on the electronics part in front of this Golden Dome system, the advancements are even more impressive. Computing power has surged over 40 years, the cost of processing power dropping by over 37 million times from 1985 to 2025, enabling real-time trafficking and tracking of missiles aimed at the homeland. They have lighter sensors and computers. Modern interceptor missile warheads can weigh 4 to 10 pounds compared to 22 pounds in 1985. Space-based sensor systems can similarly be lighter and far more capable. So this revolution in the cost to orbit the cost of computing power has likely hit an inflection point where it may be less expensive to build a missile defense shield, which seems crazy, but it's more palpable and less expensive than to build offensive nuclear weapons. Now, President Trump's Golden Dome project, on the other hand, is a $175 billion missile defense system designed to protect the U.S. from ballistic, hypersonic, and cruise missiles, including those launched from space, inspired by Israel's Iron Dome, which has proven effective against short-range rockets. Now, the Golden Dome aims to shield the entire U.S., which it spans 450 times larger than Israel's Iron Dome, for advanced threats. As envisioned, the system includes space-based interceptors, sensors, and satellites. Trump wants to have the system fully operational by 2029, so that's for 4 short years, integrating next-generation technologies across land, sea, and space. So he's going to have land, sea, and space covered. Now, for me, I think that's money well spent, obviously. We look at all the money that Doge has come up with that has been wasteful, and the way our money's been used and abused. And speaking of Doge, the Social Security officially removes, this is official, just removed, 12.3 million individuals listed age 120 years plus. The discrepancies in the Social Security figures and the alarming ages of some of the individuals listed have generated national attention over the last several months, as we've spoken about here on the LWN network. As a result, in March, Doge began to update the American people on the massive cleanup begun by Social Security. In a March 18th update, Doge said Social Security had marked $3.2 million in Social Security number holders 120 years older as deceased. That's 3.2 million people, warning that there was still more work to be done. Over 1 month later, on April 24th, Doge provided another update. It reveals that a stunning 11 million individuals listed as 120 plus were now marked as deceased. So they've taken these people off the system, out of the system. And the most recent update delivered last week, Doge revealed that a total of 12.3 million individuals listed as 120 years old plus are now officially marked as deceased in the system, no longer getting money. Some complex cases remain, such as individuals with 2+ different birth dates on file. These will be investigated in a follow-up effort, Doge reported. This update coincides with other red flags issued by Doge figurehead Elon Musk as he made waves in March when he claimed that 2.1 million non-citizens received Social Security numbers in 2024. Regarding how is that possible, a co-worker of Musk looking at Social Security, Anthony Gracias, he's the CEO of Valor Equity Partners, said that the previous administration had a policy that allowed migrants to enter the country and then register for Social Security. That is insanity. So the previous administration allowed these people to come here and then register for Social Security. Doge Savings up to date, according to their website, $170 billion across the board. Right there's your money for the Golden Dome. So save here and spend there. I think that that is a remarkable way to save money. Absolutely 100% to protect us instead of the waste and just tossing it outward to the other countries like we've done for so very long. It's time to put ourselves first, way past time. Next up, we have a big deal here. Tulsi Gabbard, who's the director of the National Intelligence Agency, has reported that newly declassified documents show that the Biden administration labeled Americans who oppose COVID-19 mandates and COVID-19 experimental medical treatments as DVEs. Now, what are DVEs? They're domestic violent extremists. Now, what does that do? That allowed the FBI and other government agents to open a, quote, assessment of individuals, which is often the first step towards a formal investigation done by the FBI. This included people that were criticizing or questioning the different government mandates, including school closures and mask mandates. And the report cities is this criticism as prominent narratives, former FBI agent Steve France said. This was a way that the government could go to the social media companies and say, hey, you don't want to be a part of this. You need to take it down now. And we know that was happening for sure because Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO of Meta, showed us 3-letter agencies that were sending him letters of thousands of accounts that needed to be removed for this exact action and this exact reason, which is completely violating our First Amendment rights. It shows if you went against the government narrative, you were labeled and flagged as an extremist. So we have to see what comes all about this and about this divulgence and exposure of this. You know, we thought that back in the day, we knew that they were censoring us. We knew that they were doing these things, but we were called conspiracy people. We were called, you know, extreme in our thinking, and it was ridiculous. Now, here it is, Tulsi Gabbard brings it out, these documents, they're declassified, and we were labeled domestic violent extremists. That's horrible, against your own people, and they labeled us that. So I'm looking forward to see what comes of this situation and who's going to pay the price for what they did. Hopefully, you know, you got to stay optimistic. I know a lot of people think things aren't going to happen, but I really believe that they are. We're seeing it, because how can you expose it, have the documents, and not do anything with it? Before, we had an administration that was trying to hide things, that were participating in things. Not saying that there aren't people participating in dark and negative and illegal things now, but we have an administration, for the most part, that wants everything righted and exposed and they're still fighting deep people inside the different agencies that are going against them. But we do have fighters this time, and I think that's the big difference that is going to flip everything for the better for this country. Next up, we do have Trump addressed on Truth Social about the state of California and the Democrat Governor Gavin Newsom. He said that they continue to illegally allow men to play in women's sports. This week, President Trump said a transition male athlete at a major event, Won Everything, is now qualified to compete in the state finals next weekend as a male. He said he was less than average as a competitor as a female. This transition person now is practically not being fair and not being called legit when it comes to a male being a female. He's a male playing in female sports. He said this is not legit, it is not fair, and it's totally demeaning to women and girls. President Trump said, please be hereby advised that large-scale federal funding is going to be held back. And he said maybe permanently if the executive order on this subject matter is not adhered to. He said the governor himself said it is unfair, and I will speak to him directly to find out which way he wants to go. In the meantime, I am ordering local authorities, if necessary, to try not to allow the transition person to compete in the state finals. He said this is a totally ridiculous situation. So not only is the president and his administration trying to put forth good policies for the American people, and these EOs, these governors, some of them are not following through. As we know, the judges are doing illegal things and giving pushback. But I remember Gavin Newsom speaking on this in an interview himself on the national media, saying that he disagrees with men transitioning as women and then playing in female sports. This should be a non-issue. This shouldn't be happening. And there is an EO order out there that Newsom is not following through. He's not even following through with what he said in this interview. So it'll be interesting to see which path he does take, because the president is going to talk to him and figure out what is going on and why this is still happening. Next up, we have Trump did announce pardons for Todd and Julie Chrisley after the reality TV stars' fraud, tax, and evasion convictions. Now, Chrisley Knows Best is the show that they were on. They're currently serving 12 and 7-year sentences for bank fraud and tax evasion. Now, President Trump said he plans to pardon Todd and Julie Chrisley, probably likely by today, after they were found guilty of fraud and tax evasion in 2022. They became famous on the reality series, but were convicted of conspiring to defraud community banks out of more than $30 million in fraudulent loans, as well as tax evasion, and sentenced to 12 and 7 years, respectively. Now, President Trump was talking on the phone from the Oval Office to their daughter, Savannah Chrisley, and he said it's a terrible thing, but it's a great thing because your parents are going to be free and clean, and I hope we can do it by tomorrow. Now, he did caption his Truth Social post, Trump Knows Best. So I used to watch the show. I loved it. Now, I was shocked when the allegations came in and then the convictions came down. So I'm curious why Trump pardoned him, because that tells me something was wrong with their charges or with how they were processed, or if it was made up, who knows, whatever it may be. But I don't see him pardoning guilty people. And I think it's amazing that he's paying attention to some of what we may consider small things, as well as big scale things like world wars and trying to make world peace and traveling through the Middle East and all the great things he did. He is actually a people's president. This Trump administration is really trying to right all the wrongs that have been committed from the past. You know, we have to remember Biden did pardon people who weren't charged with any crimes as of yet and not ever charged, and back from 2014, which made no sense at all. So that was an interesting little pardon that I caught yesterday, and I'm interested to find out all the details when they get out, if they talk about it and what actually went on during that whole case. Next up, I'm proud of this and I love this. President Trump did sign a proclamation for Border Patrol's 101st anniversary. Biden and the Democrats did refuse to celebrate and honor them, and therefore would not sign a proclamation. President Trump did sign it yesterday, celebrating the United States Border Patrol agents and the United States Border Patrol creation 101 years ago. Congress established it in May 28th of 1924 with the passage of the Labor Appreciation Act of 1924. The centennial anniversary of the U.S. Border Patrol was last year, but as we said, the Biden administration did nothing to celebrate and honor them. So that is what President Trump did by signing the proclamation. He said they achieved great things and they've done wonderful things for this country to keep us safe. He further noted in his proclamation, he said, unfortunately, the last administration, in an extraordinary act of deception and betrayal, imported an army of unvetted illegal aliens, including violent criminals, thugs, and gang members, and terrorists from the darkest and most dangerous parts of the world. He announced on Truth Social that he did sign this, and he wants to celebrate them. It's a great achievement. They've loved this country. They've done wonders for this country. And then the president celebrated historic lows in border encounters and illegal crossings during his first 100 days, as we know. He said, within my first 100 days in office, daily border encounters dropped 95%, and migrant crossings declined by an astounding 99.99%. In March, our nation saw the lowest monthly number of border encounters in recorded history, and fentanyl traffic fell by 54% compared to March of the previous year. Also, in my first 100 days, my administration arrested more than 150,000 and deported more than 135,000 illegal aliens, the proclamation reads. He said, under my leadership, our U.S. BP, United States Border Patrol agents, are not only receiving the resources that they need to do their job, but also the respect they have earned and deserve. Our work is only just beginning. So you can go to the Gateway Pundit, read the full proclamation because it is very long, but very good. It is very wonderful that he would celebrate them the way that he did. It is a shame that the last administration didn't. And, you know, sometimes we take those people for granted, the police, the fire, the emergency, the responders, you know, the Border Patrol agents, our military, and it goes on, because if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't live a comfortable life at all. You know, we know that the criminals out there are rampant, especially with these illegals that they're still working on deporting. They're criminal illegals. It's not the ones that come here legally. We all want that. That is what we are about. But, you know, nobody should be above the law. Nobody should bypass the system. And that's what that last administration allowed to happen. And it's shameful. And we know all the money that it's cost us, all the lives that have been affected permanently by the damage some of these criminals have done to families, whether it's directly or through drugs, etc. So it's time we get our country cleaned up 100%. So I think that is wonderful that Trump signed that proclamation. Like I said, you can go to Gateway Pundit and read the full thing if you'd like. So that is headline hits for today. And I see that everything is working this time around, you guys. Sometimes we just aren't able to control technology. And that's what concerns me about AI and the bots, the Tesla robots. But that's another story or another show for another time. So in the meantime, thanks for rejoining me. Sorry about the glitch the first go around, but I will be back tomorrow. Tomorrow is Thursday. This is Wednesday, May 28th, 2025. Tomorrow will be the last headline hits for the week, and I will see you guys then. Take care. God bless. And once again, thanks so much for joining me. I appreciate you.